In late 2025, a quiet decision in Tokyo unfolded behind closed doors, unnoticed by the public or global media anywhere. There were no headlines, no breaking alerts, no flashy ceremonies, just silence while officials reconsidered Japan's vulnerable industrial foundations overnight. Inside dim conference rooms, senior bureaucrats studied charts, maps, and supply graphs, realizing how exposed Japan was to external pressure. They saw that one policy change elsewhere could disrupt factories at home, idling assembly lines and threatening Japan's global reputation. Japan, the world's third largest economy, excelled at precision engineering and iconic brands, yet lacked control over the minerals beneath them. Its electric vehicles, cutting-edge chips, aircraft components, and clean energy hardware all depended on mined materials arriving reliably from abroad. Japan hardly mined these inputs itself. Instead, it leaned on foreign pits and refineries to keep its industrial heart beating. For years, the easiest solution was simple. Trust China's enormous refining system to supply rare earths, graphite, and specialty metals. China offered everything global markets loved: scale, speed, and low prices. So Japanese firms quietly built factories around that dependable flow lifeline. But as tensions rose, Tokyo watched export controls tighten and realized that any restriction could suddenly choke this lifeline completely. Memories resurfaced of 2010, when a maritime dispute led to rare earth shipments stopping abruptly, shocking Japan's manufacturers overnight nationwide. Factories scrambled for substitutes, engineers redesigned components under pressure, and officials quietly vowed never to be cornered like that again. By 2025, that earlier scare felt like a warning sign, urging Japan to rebuild its mineral strategy around trusted democracies. Two names kept appearing in internal reports and strategy papers: Canada and Australia, longtime partners with resources and political stability. Japan wasn't searching for rivalry. It was searching for resilience, transparent systems, and partners whose interests aligned with its own. At the same time, Tokyo watched Europe's energy crisis, pandemic disruptions, and shipping snarls reveal how fragile globalization could be. Supply chains no longer looked like economic tools. They looked like weapons or shields, depending on who controlled the bottlenecks. Canada stood out with reserves of nickel, cobalt, graphite, and rare earths, all under environmental oversight and democratic governance frameworks. Its institutions were predictable, its regulations transparent, and its respect for indigenous partnerships reassured Japanese investors seeking long-term stability abroad. Australia, meanwhile, brought mining scale and decades of experience, having powered Japan's post-war growth with iron, ore, coal, and gas. More recently, Australian lithium and rare earths fed Japan's battery factories, reinforcing a relationship built on deliveries and consistent volumes. For Japanese manufacturers, knowing that ships from Western Australia would arrive on schedule meant the difference between output and shutdown. What made this moment new was the way Canada and Australia started aligning, cooperating on exploration, processing, and strategic goals. Australian geologists and engineers brought hard-won expertise to underexplored Canadian regions, speeding up discoveries that could feed future Japanese demand. Canadian refiners, in turn, focused on building clean processing plants capable of transforming that raw ore into high-purity, low-emission materials. Japan envisioned itself at the center of this system, the technology hub ordering advanced materials from two trusted resource powerhouses. From Tokyo's perspective, this was not a hostile bloc against China, but a safety net if things ever deteriorated badly. Japan still valued trade with China, yet recognized that relying on one dominant refiner made its industrial core dangerously exposed. So policymakers expanded funding programs for critical minerals, specifically naming Canada and Australia as priority partners in official strategy documents. Japanese automakers, electronics firms, and battery companies followed the signal, pouring capital into Canadian mines and processing hubs abroad aggressively. At the same time, they increased stakes in Australian lithium and rare earth projects, securing long-term offtake and venture agreements. Canada benefited from this patient capital, using it to justify new refineries, battery precursor plants, and cleaner industrial infrastructure domestically. Instead of exporting raw ore, Canada began climbing the value chain, positioning itself as a processing hub within the G7. Australia, for its part, leveraged Japanese demand to strengthen its role in the Indo-Pacific, especially around energy transition mineral supply. Japanese buyers offered multi-decade contracts, giving Australian miners confidence to expand capacity without fearing sudden market collapses or political shocks. Together, the three countries shaped a mineral network where resources moved along routes defined by trust, transparency, and democratic accountability. No authoritarian decision could cut these links overnight because the system rested on multiple jurisdictions with similar values and interests. For Japan, this meant greater certainty that factories could keep running while it pursued innovations in batteries, hydrogen, and microchips. Canada and Australia, in turn, locked in reliable customers and climbed higher in the global hierarchy of strategic mineral suppliers. In a volatile world of sanctions, trade wars, and supply shocks, Japan quietly chose them to anchor its industrial future.